Hi there and welcome to the Play Creators Conference and this Inside the Studio session where we're diving into all things SoSound. I'm delighted to be joined by Doug Morrison, James Livett and TJ Morrison from SoSound. Hi guys, how are you? All good?
All good, thank you.
Very well.
Excellent.
Very well.
Very good indeed.
Good stuff. Right, Doug, we're going to start with you in terms of let's cover the origins of SoSound first because it's been around for a while and it's got an interesting sort of origin story, I think, compared to a lot of Invention studios and things like that. So how did you find your way into toys and games and how did SoSound come to be?
Well, it started, there was a company before SoSound, which was Radical Technology. And I started off as a consultant through that company, working with Texas Instruments at the time, going way back to the good old Speak and Spell. TI had just released the Speak and Spell, and it had come out in the UK and the US, and they were looking to do translations of that product. And then moving forward, they were also selling their own chips to other toy companies, the likes of Hasbro, Mattel, and others. So they needed a development resource. So that was where it started, which was probably around the mid-80s. SoSound itself has been doing products since 2003. We do a lot of translation of different products into different languages. We have our own recording studios. We've got our own group of musicians, James being amongst those, as well as fantastic composers. So a lot of the product we do actually has not only the recording voice, it has recorded music that we produce, as well as sound effects. Currently, we're running around 42 different languages, and strangely enough, we record a lot of that in our studios in Sutton. It's been interesting in the last year, Billy, because if you look back when we've had COVID and what's been happening, we've been able to set up the studios in a COVID-friendly way so that we're able to isolate the artists coming into the studio. They're in isolation, go straight into the booth, don't mix with the maniacs that are SoSound, and are able to record. So yeah, that's worked actually surprisingly well.
Yeah.
And as I say, for SoSound, it started around 2003, and since then it's built up, not only just on the recording, sound effects and music side, but also now into product development.
Yeah, amazing. And James, if we come to you on the audio side and to dig in a bit more of what Doug said there. So, you know, where did you, because it's an interesting proposition working at a company so in depth in terms of sound and that sort of stuff and play. It's an unusual combo. So how did you find yourself with SoSound? Did you do other stuff before? What was your route in?
Yeah, well, I've always been musical. And so as a kid, I would be constantly trying to record myself playing songs and that sort of thing and writing music. And then I did music and sort of sound engineering all through my education, culminating in a degree in music technology, which I did for 3 years. And then, you know, after that, it was the challenge of trying to find a job, and applied to lots of different things for a while. And it's quite hard to kind of break into the industry as a sound professional. So when I saw the SoSound ad come up, my first thing was like, I didn't even know this was an industry, you know, the sound for toys. I didn't know that was a thing even. So, but it sounded really cool. So I applied and did the interview process and thankfully got through. So I started with SoSound, just doing sort of speech editing and that sort of thing, cleaning up sound for Fisher-Price toys primarily. And then over the years, I've been at the company for over 15 years now. And so over the time, I've gradually acquired more responsibility and now oversee the sort of full audio team, overseeing all of our localization projects, all of our kind of audio content creation projects as well. But it suits me perfectly because, you know, I love writing music, and I've been in bands for many years, and I've been a touring artist and all sorts of things like that. So yeah, it's been a great fit, and yeah, pleased to be here.
Yeah, that's great. And then in terms of, and Doug mentioned it a bit there, but the breadth of sort of what you guys do with sound and with toy companies and games companies, what are some of the things, if anyone sort of watching this thinking, you know, I'd love to sort of talk to these guys about a project, what are the sorts of things you are doing with toy companies, James, in terms of sound?
Well, it's split into two main categories, really. So on the one side, we've got what I call creative audio. So this is original content creation of sound for whatever the product is. So that varies from speech content. So we can write scripts and find voice talent to record whatever character it is that the product needs. We also do loads of kind of sound design, sound effects, so creating wacky effects for the toys. And a lot of music composition as well, so creating bits of music for the actual products or songs if it sings a song, also for TV commercials and that sort of thing as well, making the jingles. And as Doug's mentioned before, we've got a great talented team of musicians, audio mixers, recordists, and can just create fantastic original audio.
Yeah.
And then the other side of the business, from my point of view, is the localization work. And again, Doug mentioned our kind of deep history of doing this sort of work. So we do translation of scripts and re-recording of audio content in up to 40 different languages, and do so with companies like Fisher Price and Hasbro and things like that. So we do a lot of sound work, and it's all good fun.
Yeah, amazing. And then, you know, one of the sort of fairly recent strings to the bow is obviously in the product development and invention side, and that's where TJ comes in. And TJ, Doug doesn't look old enough, but he is in fact your father. So,
thank you, Billy.
There we go. Pay me later, Doug. And so in terms of your entry in, you know, I always find it interesting when there's family businesses. You know, was it the sort of thing, sometimes they, you know, go one of two ways. It's like, I'll go in the opposite direction to what the family's doing. I want to do something different. Other times it suits perfectly. So what was it in terms of, at what point did you think, actually, this sounds great, I'd love to get involved in what Dad's doing in the family business?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you should say that, actually, because I think when sort of growing up, I always was just fascinated by going into the office and like seeing all the toys, and especially like I always wanted to pull apart toys and see how they worked. And I think definitely a part of the reason why is because every time I went into the office, into my dad's office, there was always kind of toys that were just breadboards. There was maybe like black box electronics and then a toy doing its thing over there. So I was always like absolutely fascinated by sort of, you know, pulling toys apart. And I kind of went to like secondary school, and I thought I've got not any necessarily, not interest, but just had no idea that I would end up in the business. And that was through no particular reason than I literally just didn't know what I wanted to do as a career. And then I left school and left education, and I thought about kind of what I could do in the future. So I went out and got a job and got some office experience, and it was a real kind of learning experience there, which was great. And it was just in the time sort of where the economy in the country, in the UK, was really kind of picking up again, and luckily, you know, the work was picking up again as well for SoSound. So my dad kind of reached out and said, look, we kind of need people to come in and help with these audio projects. We're going to be really busy for the next couple of months. And I said, okay, yeah, I didn't have a clear direction or a clear path. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll come in and help. I met the team, met the guys, got on really well with everyone. And, you know, always kind of, just was very lucky to me, straight away, I could see that there was some real talent within the team. And I could see as well that it was kind of untapped potential. So from that point, I just spent my time just learning as much as I could about the industry. And, you know, I looked at the product that was out on shelf and I thought, you know, not like why, if we've got all this talent, why not us involved with these projects and with this product? James and I actually sat and got together, and we just started to say, like, you know, we are, despite being a very small team at the time, I think there was only sort of 6 of us in the business, as opposed to like now I think there's 15 overall. And I said, you know, we've got all this talent, we've got all the skills we need to really just get good products out there. So let's go and really like make this Toy Fair season. And I think that was, I couldn't tell you the year off the top of my head. It was too long ago. But we really started to get the name out more. And we really started to make sure that our name, especially because at that point in particular, we covered a lot of audio services, but we also had an electronics team in-house. So we were able to offer tech solutions to companies on how to achieve certain product and things like that, which was fantastic. So and what we then did is went out and we were kind of lucky enough to meet some inventors, and Fuse were one of them that we met, and we worked with on. Ended up collaborating on a couple of ideas with them, whilst also working sort of work for hire on some electronic solutions. And from there, I knew that Invention existed in the Toyscape, but not to the kind of the level that it did. And then so I met Lucas from Fuse and was just really kind of inspired by the quality of their work and what they do and how they present it and all that kind of stuff. So it was a real kind of inspiring moment. And I there started to generate my own ideas, and then we collaborated with other inventors. We hired Rob, who came in house as well. So we started to build an Invention team, and then from there we've also expanded that team, and now we're up to 7 designers in house. The design team is of 7. We also have Jazz, who's our star coordinator, and she just makes sure everyone's kind of whipped into shape and cracking on and getting stuff over the line, which is great. Keeps me on my toes as well. And now we're in a position where we can help companies kind of across a multitude of areas that we just couldn't when that design team was started.
Absolutely. I think it's testament to you guys as well that it's not been a clunky addition. It's not been a sort of, how is an audio studio now getting involved in Invention? It's been very natural. The companies obviously now, a lot of companies work with you guys, so it's been sort of welcomed with open arms. And then in terms of, the two sides of the business, do you find that on the Invention side, the company's history in audio and with tech informs what you guys do? Or if there's any companies there that you haven't pitched to or that haven't worked with you directly that might listen to this and think, oh, is it just, audio based inventions these guys are doing? What sorts of things are you interested in inventing? What areas are you pitching in currently?
Yeah,
so I guess. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, we try to do everything across the board. In fairness, Billy, and it's one of our kind of edicts, even from an early age of the company, is to make SoSound a one-stop shop. So if somebody needed music, we could provide it. If they wanted sound effects, we could provide it. We could provide speech. And TJ, when we do the Invention side of the business, they provide the whole package. We can make models through 3D modeling. We can design packaging. We can design game boards, the whole range. I'll let TJ carry on with that conversation. But it's one of the things that we've always done is to try and make it easier for our clients or our co-inventors. We've got everything in-house. We can do it all, make it simple, make it straightforward for them.
Yeah, perfect.
There's a real kind of synergy between the two teams as well, in the sense that if they're working on a concept that includes electronics and sounds, they can just come down the stairs and have a chat with us about it. Well, in normal times, outside of COVID times, you could just come down the stairs, have a chat about it. And then you can kind of iterate on things as well very quickly, get something on shit, hear how it sounds, make changes. And it's a really nice way of working, actually. You don't have to kind of outsource it to another company. Everything's done under one roof.
Yeah, and vice versa as well. The more of us there is in the design team, the more potential auditions we get to do for some of the sound projects that the audio team are working on as well.
Absolutely.
But in terms of what we invent or what we design and what we aim for, we definitely have a wide range of talented designers. I think one thing that I've been really proud of the people that we've hired, have always come in and added an extra piece to the puzzle. They've always been able to bring a new skill set that we either previously didn't have, or just slightly stronger in a different area than some other skill sets. And I really feel we kind of have specialists in graphic design. We have specialists in mechanism design. We have specialists in electronics design as well. And obviously, having the audio team to lean on in terms of what we can do with sound and stuff is really important. And from my perspective as well, I'd say that the kind of main areas of focus for us, I'll definitely just say mechanisms, technology, and games kind of under a whole just mass market games, whether that, and often there's a crossover there where they involve technology and electronics and audio and everything. So I would definitely say we're not specifically sound, although I like to think that because of the hugely talented team we do have, whenever we put sound into our invention, it's kind of like ready to go. And I think that's potentially a benefit as well with working with sound and invention stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think there's also a thing for other inventors? And I know you worked with Jeff House on Tweetbeats back in the day and other stuff. Do you think that's a benefit in terms of for other pro invention houses or solo inventors, that they might have concepts that maybe they can get up to a point, or that need an audio element, or that they need expertise in a certain tech side of things, that actually those sort of collaborations between you guys and other inventors is another growing area where they might, you might be able to fill in the gaps that they have, or even that you're just as a studio very open to collaborations regardless?
Yeah, I would for sure. I think that we're with collaborations. I think it just makes total sense, because it is just, as I say, kind of like complementing each other's skill sets. And if sometimes like an inventor will say, look, here's the concept. So how do we achieve this in terms of technology or audio? But we are completely open to, I've got this idea for this. How do we do this mechanically? And it's funny enough, we're working on some stuff with Fee Murray at the moment, and she's that one was like, we've got a kind of concept, like how can we achieve this technology? And it was great. It's great working with Fee as well, because she's totally open to kind of design in terms of if it needs a slight tweak, or how it looks and everything like that. And then, funnily enough, we're also working with Courtney at Woohoo Workshop, and she is also we wanted to achieve something that was more mechanical based. So yeah, in terms of our collaborations, we're totally open to how we collaborate, and definitely I think it's a no-brainer to collaborate with other inventors, especially we're a young team. I think it's great to kind of get experience for our kind of young designers, especially working with more experienced inventors and designers. I think it's really just crucial, and just to see from different perspectives how they work and how they achieve concepts. And I think it works both ways. It means that people who collaborate with us also get access to kind of young designers who they can help to kind of mentor as well. So I think it's quite a nice partnership with everyone that we're partnering up with at the moment.
100%. And then Doug, I wanted to ask you, in terms of your career, and you've been around proper iconic toys, and you've seen the industry shift a lot over the years, I imagine, without aging you. How is there anything major that you think, having been through the industry and what So Sound's doing now, is there anything you would say that was one of the big industry evolutions that you're quite proud to have, the company's quite either evolved with or adjusted to or helped spearhead and jump on?
I think certainly in the early days, Billy, it definitely was the audio side of things. There weren't, until Speak and Spell came along, there weren't too many. I always think back, it was quite interesting. We did a product for Fisher-Price, which was quite a simple one called the cookie shape sorter. And in many ways, although it was a simple product, the way that sound, music, and speech was used on it, instead of being a gimmick, it actually was an integral part of the product. And we did a translation for Polish, and that very simple product actually became Toy of the Year in Poland, because it actually did sound like real speech, real sound effects, real music, and it was so well received in the country because we use, and this is one of the things we always do, we use the nationals from the country to record the product. You know, we don't have English speakers trying to record Polish. We do use international languages, and that is the big difference that actually has been in the kind of audio side of things. In the early days, Billy, it was kind of a gimmick. This was a gimmick to have some sort of sound on it, even if it was flashing some lights or making some bell sounds or whatever. It was a gimmick. As toys evolved over the years, which they have done quite a lot, it is showing now that it's an integral part of the product. It's an educational tool. It helps reinforce, and children get enjoyment out of it. And the other thing that I would say is, so many of the toys now have a volume switch, so that parents don't feel the pressure to listen to it at high volume. They're made with a mute button, so they can be turned on and off in terms of sound. But no, I just think that it was a gimmick to start with. It's evolved into an integral part of the toy and something that adds to it rather than just being, as I say, a gimmick.
Yeah. And especially when you look at, I mean, TJ was on our voice tech panel recently in terms of how far that's developed. So yeah, it's still interesting stuff, you know?
And I was, the one thing I would add to that as well is just something that I would like to highlight is definitely that I think we've always kind of kept up with the latest technology and looked to innovate in that space. And I feel, you know, great about the fact that we can always, if a company approaches us with, you know, here is what we want to achieve with a product, how do we go about it? I feel very comfortable and confident that we will be able to find a solution. And I think that's only possible through years of development and years of experience of working with technology, keeping up with the latest technology, and making sure that we always innovate in that space. And that said, we also always look at, you know, we've got companies that we know very well and work with and have done for many years in the Far East. There's also European companies and American companies that we work with in technology. So we always make sure that we kind of make connections in the tech space and make sure that we kind of are able to offer tech solutions. And that's something that I would definitely say I'm proud of. Yeah. And now, obviously, with the design and invention team, we could even take those technologies and put them into a kind of overall product package and develop it in-house, which is important.
Yeah, amazing. And before I let you guys go, in terms of one thing I'd like to ask all of you is about the sort of creative culture at SoSound and how you guys, you know, stay creative and keep having ideas. And Doug, if we start with you, is there anything where you think maybe it was instilled in the team or how you work before the invention stuff even kicked off? But is there anything you think about how the team at SoSound stay creative? Is there a secret sauce that you've instilled that means that there's a certain creative culture at the company?
I think it's keeping up with Mojo, Billy.
Right answer again.
No, I think this is the thing, as TJ said, we've got a fantastic creative link amongst all the team. We keep in touch, and even through, you know, the past year, 18 months, we're constantly in contact. You know, Zoom works so well, Teams works so well for that. And the way we're able to pass files, try different things. So many of the designers now are very au fait with the fact of having 3D design capability and actually having printers at home. So they can pass files amongst themselves and fit things together, even although someone else might have originally drawn it up, they're able to do it. So I think it's that link all the time. And as James said it earlier, you know, the ability to just chat to each other and say, look, I've got this idea, what do you think? And it always works out as an enhancement. That ability to work as a team, even if it's remotely, has worked so well. I mean, we've got some people in Scotland, we've got some people in Bristol, but we still feel like a team. We're all together.
Yeah.
So it is fantastic team. And I have to say, Billy, if I'm being honest, I'm very proud of the way that the company is constantly evolving and moving forward. And I'm proud of what, James and TJ have done in that design field, because not only are we designers for hire, but also inventors. And it's fantastic. Really great.
Yeah. No, that's great. And James, in terms of, you're obviously a musician anyway, so you've got that creative streak, but is there anything you think that the company does particularly that helps bring that out?
I think one of the main things with the audio team specifically is that we're all kind of creative musicians or that sort of thing outside of work as well. There's a couple of the guys in the team, they've got their own kind of electronic pop act they do called Segoine, and they're very good. I also work on other people's music outside of So Sound as well, kind of in an engineering capacity. So that kind of keeps the creative juices going as well. And obviously we're all listening to current music, and we're all lovers of music generally. So that really helps us kind of stay on the leading edge, I think, of what people want to hear coming out of their toys.
Yeah.
So that would be what I say. But yeah, as Doug was saying, just communication between the team, sharing ideas. I think if you throw more brains at something, you get a better result. So yeah, I largely sort of echo what Doug was saying.
Absolutely. And I forgot to mention, you opened for the Who once before, right? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We did a couple of stints supporting the Who on playing these massive arenas. It was fantastic.
I needed to get that in.
Cheers.
TJ, in terms of how you stay creative and how your sort of side of the business keeps ideas coming, how do you guys do it?
Yeah, so firstly, I would definitely like to say, in terms of as a company culture as a whole, I think that the way that my dad kind of runs the company is with an incredible amount of trust and an incredible amount of belief in all the staff. And what that means is that we just have the confidence, and it's not as if it's a blind faith. We keep showing the results, and that is kind of company wide. So I think definitely just having essentially room to breathe. There's never any micromanagement. It's hand the project out, or define the project, set of deliverables and we just are able to be free. And how we get to that result, as long as it's within the realms of sameness, then that's absolutely fine. So I would definitely say that for a company culture, company wide, my dad just gives everyone the freedom to create and to get to the results in their creative way that they feel is possible. And that's definitely just a massive learning point from my perspective, and how I've taken the design team forward as well, is just to give designers as much creative freedom as possible. And if they want to explore around ideas, I won't say, who am I to say that that's wrong? And who is anyone else in the design team to say that that's wrong? I'm happy for people to kind of iterate, get things wrong, get things right, but just have the freedom and the space and the belief in themselves, because they know I believe in them, to be able to get things done and get results. And I think that massively helps, especially for young designers, because the last thing that I want to do is, create a culture where they come in and this is how we're doing things. And, what eventually all you do is you funnel away other creative resources that could have come in handy on the next project or the next one or the next one. So it's definitely, from my perspective, and definitely links back to the company culture, which is just giving people as much space to be creative as possible. Other than that, we kind of use Teams and Miro and Dropbox, to all kind of different types of softwares whilst we've been at home, to make sure that we're sort of able to quickly share files with each other. And one thing I would say for sure about the whole team is that we're able to really bounce ideas off of each other quickly, and everyone's always available, and absolutely all of them always go above and beyond to get stuff done. So I feel very lucky and privileged that I get to work with such a talented set of designers, but also ones that are very, very passionate about the industry, about games, about toys. And it just makes things a lot easier from my perspective, that I can trust them to just crack on and always help out.
Yeah, Absolutely.
There was one other thing I was going to say, Billy, and there was an expression actually my dad used to use, and it was about that design process, and it was the man who never made a mistake never made anything.
Yeah.
And that is the truth. You go through that process, you know, you can make mistakes. It does happen. You go off at a tangent, but you come back and sort it out. It's great.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I think as TJ
It's
said,
essential.
that's testament to sort of how you've set the company up, Doug, and the values you've instilled in it. And, you know, like I've said to you before, both inside of SoSound and outside, I never hear anything less than glowing words about you. And I have asked, I've tried to find the and I can't. So I think that's a huge testament to how, you know, how you've set it up and the values you've put in there. So as TJ said, so amazing, guys. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you taking time out to talk us through all things SoSound. A huge thanks to you guys for watching, and we'll all hopefully catch up very soon.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Billy.
Wonderful. Brilliant. Thanks, Billy.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.